Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it today. We are thinking about self-esteem, ladies and gentlemen. That is our focus because we don't realize how much our self-esteem really affects our lives. So, this is a great topic to really think about. And I have Rick here who's going to help us think about this some more.
Let's
So,
do it.
thank you so much, Rick, for coming on my show. So, when you hear the words self-esteem, what does that make you think about?
Makes me think about the magnificence that's inside me that I've always had as a child,
Mm.
and everyone has as a child. Because the truth is when we were born, and I'm not a personal development coach, I'm just an avid student of personal development, and I've discovered this, and it's carried me for a long time now, and I hope the same for anybody else. But when I was born as a child, I had all great qualities. Just imagine, bring to your imagination a small child. What are some of the great qualities that a small child has? Think about it. They are happy, they are courageous, they are fearless, they
Mhm.
are bold, they are joyful, they are outward focused, they are all these great qualities, right? And these qualities, they're not sequestered just for people in North America or in Dallas, Texas, where I'm at, right? I mean, they're all is all, right?
Yeah.
All children possess these qualities, which includes you, Mitzi, which includes you listening.
I
And
agree.
what drives our actions, in my view, is self-esteem. It's that silent partner resting on your shoulder that it influences every decision that you make, every action that you make. And when your self-esteem, and that's really how do you like yourself? Do you love yourself? That measurement is what's driving those actions. And those
Mhm.
actions spill into our life results. Now, I wish I would have realized this 27 years ago, but it was instead 7 years ago. And that's another story. But at least I did it then and not 7 years later, right?
Exactly. At least you put in the acknowledgement that you know that you finally had that epiphany moment that I should have had a V8 moment. Like, why didn't I
That's
realize this
right.
was affecting my life? Because one thing I'm realizing is that in the way that we talk to ourselves and the way that we treat ourselves has a big impact on our self-esteem. So the fact that how you said
Mhm,
self-esteem affects our actions, our thoughts, our the way we process and view life. I mean,
mhm,
that is a big key note to remember because
mhm.
if you don't love yourself, what makes you think you are going to perceive or understand somebody else loving you or just being kind? That's the reason why it's so hard for people to show kindness sometimes because it either gets misrepresented as, sarcasm or not sincere, or it gets confused as being a romantic trying to do something romantic wise, and it's not always that way either. People always have these misperceptions because in their heart, I feel like in reality, in their mind, what they're going on is not always lining up with what's actually happening in the world as well. So
Yeah.
how do
Mhm.
you how does someone really tap into this? You know what I mean? How do they tap into trying to fix this?
Well, it comes down to being self-aware. Comes down to
That's a
being
good point.
self-aware. And
Yeah.
I became self-aware by attending personal growth and personal development classes. I thought that my life was great, everything was good, I had nothing wrong with me. And my girlfriend at the time told me about this 3-day class she took. It was amazing. It was really enlightening. You should do it also. Not that she was insinuating that there was something wrong with me, although I took it that way, right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
But I told her yes, but my heart said no. I didn't want to do this, but I said, I
yeah.
want to support this relationship. I attended the class. At the end of the 3 days, it was a huge wow moment. And I really learned a next level of self-awareness. And when I became more self-aware of myself, I saw what I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know, right? And I still have a lot that I don't know. Yet when I'm more aware, I recognize that whatever happens to me is neutral. it's
Yes.
up to me to decide how I take that. Is this a positive thing or is this a negative thing?
Mhm.
Why would something that happens trigger a person and piss them off, yet the same thing would make it be very pleasant or appealing to somebody else? Why is that? That was really odd to me. And in my view, it comes down to self-awareness. And
Yeah.
it's not easy skill to develop. It's very hard to put a spotlight on myself in this big mirror looking at myself. And I discovered that so many of the reasons of my bad results or not so great results of my life, it wasn't because of exterior things, it was because of interior things, how I showed up in the world. And that's
Exactly.
driven by self-esteem.
Exactly. I think that's a very valid point. Goodness, people really don't acknowledge how sometimes we, as ourselves, as an individual, have toxic traits that make ourselves stumble. I strongly believe in self-sabotage, and we don't even realize it's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to another gentleman, and he was talking about how the obvious is not very obvious, and it's so
Hmm.
true. And
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
obvious to be nice to yourself, but at the same time, it's not obvious when you're in the moment and you're judging yourself or giving yourself a guilt trip. And I think it also comes along with being comfortable with that because a lot of the times people are raised with that growing up, so they just see it as normal, so they see it as comfortable. So when they try to step out, it's a very brand new, unfamiliar feeling that may lead them into fear and retreat them back into that chaotic life. I mean, what do you say to those type of people who are in that?
Well, we have to remember that our subconscious is the driving force of our life. Our subconscious is behind the wheel, whether we recognize it or not. And our
Yeah.
subconscious does not care about our life goals, does not care about what we want to pursue. All our subconscious wants to do is to protect us. That's what it's there for. when
Mhm.
we were born, like I said, as a small child with all these amazing, great qualities, why don't those amazing, great qualities continue through our adulthood? And the answer is because life happens. Life
Yeah.
happens when we're in our tender ages. These life
Mhm.
events occur, whether they're very small or very large, things happen to us, and we interpret these things in a manner that that makes us want to protect ourselves because we see them as negative.
That's
And when
true.
that happens, it's natural to be that because we want to survive as beings. And that's our subconscious in place is to protect us from harm and from danger. Yet when that happens, we learn this is where a lot of bad habits can occur, or
Yeah.
when inactions can occur. And
That's
that's
true.
when our energy levels say go down. And these magnificent qualities, this is how I see it. It's like these windows slowly close inside ourselves. And behind those windows
Mm.
are those great, great qualities, right? But the more that these life events, very subtle life events occur, the more those windows close down. And that's now looking back, it's crystal clear to myself why 10 years ago or even earlier, I wasn't showing up in the world in the way that I am now. I wouldn't have been a guest on your show, Mitzi, had it not been for this self-awareness. It was my subconscious 10 years ago telling myself the following, and tell me if this sounds familiar. I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I am not worthy.
Yep.
I don't deserve this. What do I
Mhm.
have to offer? Does all that ring a bell?
Oh, it still happens today. You know what I mean? It still
Yeah, I
happens
know. I
daily.
know.
And I think
I
that's
know.
something where that self-talk comes in because you have to say, "Okay, I may not be worthy, but at least I can try." You know what I mean? I like
Yeah.
at least I can try.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? At
Hmm.
least I can
Hmm.
try, man.
Hmm.
There's so much power in just trying. There's
Hmm.
and then
There is.
after you that trying, there's that power behind what if in the positive direction. You know what I mean? Because you just left the negative what if like, okay, you're not worthy. Okay, but what if I am? What
Hmm.
if I
Yeah.
try and I
Yeah.
am, you know? And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of you would never know that unless you take that risk.
Hmm.
And I wish people could see this because it is obvious, but it's not obvious, you know, it really is
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So, do you think this really helps build emotional intelligence then when you start to walk in this manner that
Well, I don't know if it builds emotional intelligence necessarily, but it does build self-esteem. And when I build my self-esteem slowly but surely, one step at a time, maybe my emotional intelligence goes up. But I do know that when my self-esteem grows, my life results grow.
yeah,
And the
it
opposite.
changes.
When my self-esteem goes down, my life results go down. And
Mhm.
it's hard. That's hard for me to, it's been hard for me to understand and digest. But if there's one, I'm a financial advisor, and many people approach me and they ask, what's the best investment, Rick? Where should I put my money? And my response usually comes as a surprise. It's not XYZ fund or ABC stock or whatever. It is your self-esteem. If there's one place, you just choose
Mm,
one area
mhm.
to invest time and money, it would be there because of the ripple effect. Imagine if we could measure self-esteem like we measure our temperature, stick a thermometer under our tongue, and what's the temperature reading? What if there was a self-esteemometer that read a score between one of dismal to 100 amazing?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree that a person living a life at a, say, an 84 is living a
Mhm.
greater life than someone at a 37,
Exactly.
right?
And it's all about that perception on the inside
It
and
is.
how you feed it. You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. So I guess to know you more, Rick, what is a pet peeve of yours? What is one thing in this world that boils your blood?
Integrity. When people don't say what they're going to do, when they don't do what they're going to say. Integrity is a very, very high value of mine. I don't pay attention to what people say. I pay attention to what people do. And
Mhm.
if what they say matches up with what they do, I know I'm dealing with a person of high integrity. I
Yeah,
can trust that person. That person is of high caliber. And then, of course, the opposite. They say one thing and they don't do what they're going to say, then that's a problem. And that's an issue with me. That's a big pet peeve of mine. That's for
I like
sure.
that. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Usually somebody would say, "Oh, somebody not using their blinker," but integrity, that's a deep one. That's a real one that people forget because it's not service level. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's always mistakes and things like that. So it is interesting. Continue. That's interesting how you said that integrity is a pet peeve. So what would be a superpower of yours if you could have any superpower?
Oh gosh.
I
If
know, a thinker.
that's a thinker. If I could have any superpower, oof, what would that be? Golly.
Any superpower. It's limitless. Give people integrity.
I would say, could I have better integrity than I already have? I don't know, maybe, perhaps so, but I do live by I do live by five values, and maybe I would select one of those values to be scoring 100 out of 100, and that would be health. If I could just wave a magic wand
And
and
help people with health and
yeah, and
health.
help people
Yeah,
with health, because in my view, health is really just one of the ultimate trickle effects of our all of our lives, right?
it really is. I mean, I have met people with millions and millions of dollars. They've said that if I would have taken care of my health more
Oh, yeah.
as my main focus versus focusing on my
Mm-hmm.
money and my growth, I would
Mm-hmm.
have been in a different situation. I can't buy a lung. I can't buy an
Mm-hmm.
organ, despite how much people talk about, oh,
Mm-hmm.
money gets you anything you want. In reality, it doesn't buy you health.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a beautiful statement that has lived with me rent free in my life, you know,
Mm-hmm.
forever reminding me that my health matters and I need to take time for my health. And I think that is something that hopefully a lot of people can remember,
I heard
really
someone say
remember.
once that we all have 1,000 different goals that we want to accomplish in life, yet the sick person just has one goal to accomplish in life,
Mm,
and that is to get healthy,
yeah,
right? Because everything
that's
else doesn't matter.
yeah, that's well, you know what they say, you don't pay for your good health and maintaining yourself now, then you'll pay for it later when you it's literally on the line. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
people don't think about that. So I guess back on topic, You said that a few years back, you realized this for yourself, that your self-esteem mattered. So if you
Mhm.
don't mind sharing this story, what made you realize that your self-esteem mattered?
I would say that it was the 3-day class that I took. That was the beginning of this journey, I'll call it, where my life trajectory didn't change over a weekend, but the direction changed over a weekend. I
Mm,
realized that what was happening in my life at that time, my business was okay. I was dating this girlfriend, my kids. I felt that they loved me and I loved them back and so on. And I didn't really feel like I was all that of an important person, but I didn't think I was a bad person. So I didn't feel like my life was okay. I mean, my life was okay. It wasn't fantastic, but I wasn't looking for fantastic at that time. So
yeah.
that realization of being self-aware and understanding that the way I showed up in the world and the actions that I took were all driven by my love for myself, because at that time I didn't feel like I deserved a whole lot. I didn't
Hmm.
feel like I was worthy of a whole lot. And
Yeah.
I was living a good life, but there is a great life that
Yeah.
was waiting for me.
Yeah.
At the end of the 3 days, like I said, I did it just to support this relationship I had with my girlfriend. I wasn't getting married again.
Hmm.
That was not happening. If I was to get married again, it would just be the same end result. It's marriage's fault, not mine, but it was marriage's fault. Why do that? Why get divorced again? I'm not going to do that. Of course, that was warped thinking. It's not marriage's fault. It's
No.
my fault. So I denied myself a greater level of a life with that limiting belief. And when I
Exactly.
discovered that I just did deserve a greater life, that there was a better life out there, that aha moment is a strong light bulb moment that I've been carrying through for so long. And I'm now noticing all these other light bulbs just waiting for me to turn on, even to this day.
That's
Because there is
beautiful.
greater things out there. There are still greater things out there.
Exactly. It doesn't matter about your age. It doesn't matter
No,
about
doesn't.
how late you define this discovery. It's about just acknowledging that you found it and just embracing everything that you can while you can. Now that you know this knowledge, it's like that old saying, do if you know better, do better. So now that you know
Yeah,
better, you do better. And now
yeah.
you're
Mhm,
here trying to help other people have that
mhm,
same acknowledgement.
mhm.
So I guess to start wrapping up the show, what can be some lasting words to keep us all thinking? Even though, let's be honest, this whole entire conversation
Yeah.
you had many great points for us to think about. But what can
Mhm.
be some lasting words to keep thinking?
That the to focus on your daily actions or
Mhm.
inactions. If you take a look at, wow, all the all the greatness that's out there, how can I be a part of that, or how can I enjoy something like that? When you bring to mind a person that you really admire that has accomplished some amazing goal that you yourself also want to pursue, if you bring that into your mind, and again, circling back, the day that we were born, all of us were born with
Yep.
magnificent qualities.
Yep.
All is all children all over the world. So if you know someone or know of someone who has accomplished something great that you too also want to accomplish, just know that if they did it, why not you? Why not you? They didn't do it overnight. They did not do it overnight, and nor will you. So you want to focus on those daily actions. It will not happen. That great, great goal will not happen because of some exterior random event that's probably not going to happen, like the lottery or whatever. It's
Yeah.
going to come up with the daily activities, one grain of sand at a time, day in and day out, day out. You will build a magnificent sandcastle, or you'll build a very boring, dull mound of sand. It's up to you.
Exactly. Exactly. And nobody wants a mound of sand because what are you gonna do? Climb up it and be
Yeah.
exhausted? No, and that's not
No.
fun. You want a sandcastle so you can like appreciate the beauty of what you just created. And I think people don't realize that. People don't realize that. And I think that's a great way for us to continue on thinking because we need to start thinking about our self-esteem because how we see our self-esteem truly does affect how we see others' self-esteem, and how we
Hmm.
see others
Hmm.
and how it impacts others to see themselves. So
Hmm.
it really is a great a topic for us all to think about. And if anybody who's out there is listening who has enjoyed this episode and would like to know more about Rick and all he has to offer the world, I have his photo, access to his website, see all the greatness that he has to offer because, hey, he's here just trying to spread the word, share some goodness, and let everybody think about this. So you won't be disappointed with checking out his website because there's a lot to think about there. So that being said, always, always, always keep thinking, y'all.